Why has Bitcoin recently crashed below $6,000? Is this just a short-term move and therefore another good buying opportunity? In today's video, we're going to be covering those topics and more. Hi, I'm Tom from Crypto Gurus, and if you want to learn more, keep watching. Over the past few months, Bitcoin's price has been very steady at around $6,500. That is, until it suddenly crashed in just a few hours, dropping as low as 5,400. What are the causes and what does all of this mean? Before we jump into that, I have to run through the disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Please pause the video now and read the disclaimer in full. Let's jump in with topic number one. Why has Bitcoin crashed? For me, there are two main reasons here. The first one is simply psychological. Many technical analysts have been telling us for ages that $6,000 is a key support level, and if Bitcoin's price drops below it, that could trigger more sell-offs. That's exactly what happened, and we saw a big crash as Bitcoin's price went below 6,000. On top of that, there is simply the practical element to this, which is that many of those technical analysts had set sell orders around $6,000. So when the price went below, we saw a lot of sell orders trigger in one go, and that pushed the price down very, very quickly. And number two is the very contentious Bitcoin Cash hard fork. It's essentially Roger Ver competing with Craig Wright, and both of them saying that their fork is the legitimate one. Craig Wright has gone as far as commenting that a 51% attack on the weaker chain is possible. I don't realistically see him carrying this out. It will just damage his tarnished reputation even further, and it will cost a lot of money. But simply the threat of it occurring, even mentioning it, is very negative for the market. This has been arguably the most contentious hard fork I've seen since being in the market, so it's not hard to see why it's had a negative effect on prices. Those are the two reasons I personally believe. Now let's move on to the topic of whether this is a good buying opportunity. A quick note before we move on, I just wanted to let all of you know we are running a giveaway. Essentially, I've reached out to an upcoming event hosted by Crypto Compare, and they have very generously agreed to give me 10 free tickets which I can raffle for you guys. If you want to enter, all you have to do is comment down below with your Telegram handle. It's really that simple. A couple of people have asked me if I'm getting paid for this. The answer is no. The fact that I can give you guys 10 free tickets when you've supported me throughout this bear market is more than enough for me. Funnily enough, I'm actually pretty happy about this dip. I've been saying on the channel a few times, I believe Bitcoin could drop one leg lower before we see another bull market. Therefore, in a way, the downwards movement in price can be seen as good. But this still raises the question, is this the last drop? Just because we've seen this drop occur, there could be more to come still. Let's attempt to answer that question by adding some context and looking at Bitcoin's previous crashes. The bull run in 2017 and the subsequent bear market is actually the first cycle I have been in cryptocurrencies, but like many of you, I've decided to look into the past and see that this isn't the first time Bitcoin has crashed that much. Many people have left the market because they've assumed Bitcoin is now dead because they don't know it's crashed so much in the past. I believe we're playing out one of the previous cycles, and hence I'm confident we're going to see a bull run after this. Now looking at some of the previous cycles, we can see two of the biggest drops are 83% in value and 87%. I'm going to go ahead and rule out the 83% now because that occurred over 3 days. We're not looking at that kind of time frame. Let's instead look at the 87% drop, as this occurred over 411 days, and that's a pretty similar time frame to what we're looking at here. This occurred as a result of the Mt. Gox hack. Mt. Gox was an exchange at the time. It was pretty much the only Bitcoin exchange, so when it got hacked, that was huge for the market. Many people believe that much of the underlying infrastructure of this industry had effectively been wiped out overnight. On top of that, Bitcoin was pretty much the entire market. Now, if you fast forward to today, Bitcoin has dropped from $20,080 at the peak to currently 5,570. That is a 72% drop. If we compare that to the drop after the Mt. Gox hack, we could see there could well be more to go. In fact, if we apply an 87% discount to Bitcoin's recent peak, that would be a price of $2,600. In other words, another 50% drop still to go. That's why some people believe Bitcoin could continue to go lower. That is a fair point. I can't say whether it's correct or wrong. My only disagreement would be that when the Mt. Gox hack occurred, as I say, that was pretty much the majority of the infrastructure behind the crypto market, and the crypto market was incredibly immature. We're still looking at a very immature market right now, but we're talking about institutions making their way into this space. Blockchain has started to have real use cases, and while much of the dumb money in society thinks that Bitcoin is dead, the smart money is realizing there's a lot of opportunity here, and this is going to be a flourishing market. For that reason, I don't realistically see us dropping a total of 87%, but I can't rule out a further drop. There is far more negative sentiment in the market right now than there is positive. So if any more negative news comes out, that could well affect the price of Bitcoin, while a lot of positive news is being somewhat overlooked. For example, in under a month, we're going to have the first physically delivered Bitcoin futures with Bakkt. I don't believe that's going to trigger a bull run, as I've covered in a previous video, but it is huge news, and it's not being discussed anywhere near as much as something like the Bitcoin Cash contentious hard fork. The question then is, would I buy more Bitcoin at current prices? I'll be honest with you guys here. When I first came into the crypto market, I was a university student who was very poor, so I didn't really have the money to be throwing at the market. I had to watch the whole thing rise and this bubble take place, and I couldn't really get involved anywhere near as much as I wanted to. So when I did start earning money, I wanted to commit that to the market. I ended up investing probably too much. I do have some funds set to one side, not a lot, but I am considering investing it back into the market with one key condition. I am willing to hold through another drop. I believe that Bitcoin will return to 20K and go higher, but I also think it could drop to 2, 3, 4, 5,000. Who knows? It's really impossible to say. At the end of the day, it's an asymmetric bet. I believe that Bitcoin could go significantly higher than it's going to go lower. Therefore, my potential reward outweighs the risk, and that makes it a smart investment. Who knows? I could be completely wrong, but that is my personal opinion. Therefore, I would say I'm viewing this as a potential opportunity, but I'm going to see how the market plays out over the next few days. And if I do commit funds, I'm going to be doing it for the long term, definitely nothing less than 2 or 3 years as a time horizon. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. From Tom here at Crypto Gurus, thank you for watching. We will speak again soon.